Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Great to have you in the conversation today. Free for all Friday. Let's open up the phone lines right now. 888-589-8840. I want to get your reactions to the debate last night. 888-589-8840. So to qualify to call in, you had to have watched the vice presidential debate last night. But if you did, then we'd like to hear from you about what you thought. I've got a number of sound bites here that have to do with what went on in the debate last night, including sound bites that have to do with the reaction of people even on the left. I'm Brian Fisher. The program is Focal Point. The network is AFR Talk. This is ethanol-free radio, high-octane, high-energy radio right here. No frills, no fluff, no additives. This is ethanol-free radio, and we want to dissect what happened last night at the debate. Now, I had a few general reactions kind of off the top, and I'll share those maybe to kind of kickstart the conversation. We'll work sound bites from the debate in as we go. But I thought that Joe Biden made a patootie out of himself last night, to use a term that you possibly can use in polite company. I don't even know what patootie means, but it's obviously more family-friendly than some of the alternatives that probably came to your mind. But he was smirky, he was snarky, he was condescending, he was arrogant, he was dismissive, he had this maniacal grin on his face during the entire debate. I think the split screen thing here just doomed Joe Biden. He lost this election because of the split screen. In other words, if people had not been able to see these grimaces on his face, this smarmy grin, this maniacal grin on his face, and Joe Biden went between either being vicious and malicious to having this goofy grin on his face. I mean, he was one of the others, like a schizophrenic. He was schizoid last night, you know. And it occurred to me somewhere during the debate that apparently Joe Biden's goal last night is he wanted to go out and prove to the American people that he was Conan the Destroyer rather than Mr. Potato Head. I mean, Joe Biden knows how people think of him out there as Mr. Gaffe-prone. And everybody knows that the book on Obama is that he was too passive in the first debate with Mitt Romney. And so apparently Joe Biden got his marching orders from the top. You go out there, you be aggressive, you be Conan the Barbarian, you go on offense, you are there to pillage and destroy, to take no prisoners. And so he came out very, very aggressive. And I thought the moderator did a horrible job, this Martha Raddatz. It turns out she, by the way, has been to Vice President Biden's house this year, according to White House visitors logs. Now, she's supposed to be neutral. She's supposed to be objective. She's supposed to be impartial. But we know that Obama came to her wedding in 1991 or 1992, so they're buds. And her ex-husband and Obama were classmates together at Harvard Law. And now we find out that Martha Raddatz, who's supposed to be this neutral moderator, not going to take sides, she was at Biden's home this spring. And she's paid a personal visit to the White House one other time. So just from the sake of avoiding even the appearance of a conflict of interest, there is no way that she should have been the moderator last night. And she was clearly a homer. I mean, she was like a referee that makes all the calls for the home team. She allowed Joe Biden to interrupt Paul Ryan 82 times. 82 times. Biden interrupted Paul Ryan. And she didn't stop it. She didn't stop him. That's the job of a moderator. A job of a moderator is to what? To moderate. Somebody gets outside the ropes, you got to be the one to bring them back in the ring. They start ignoring the rules, you got to be the one that call them on that. Call a technical foul if you need to get them back in line. She never did. She interrupted Paul Ryan 9 times. She only called Biden out 1 time. So 9-1. So really, Paul Ryan, for most of the night, was not debating one person. He was debating 2 people. Now, let's grab clip number 3, if we can, Rob, first. There was a segment in the debate where Joe Biden brought up the 47% comment that Mitt Romney made. Now, I think that comment was a mistake. I think a conservative message appeals to 100% of the American people. It doesn't just appeal to 53%. It's got something for everybody. And that's, that's why you got to question how thoroughly conservative Mitt Romney is, because he doesn't seem to get this stuff. He doesn't seem to understand it, and that's why he can be out there. And yeah, it was a private setting and all that, but that's still kind of what he says. And of course, he's had to back away from it. I said a completely wrong thing. It was totally wrong. So he's apologized for it. He's backed away from it. But people were disappointed that Obama didn't come after him on that 47% thing in the presidential debate. So you knew that Biden was going to bring this up and he was just going to beat this thing to death. And sure enough, he tried to do it. Now, what Governor Romney has said, hey, look, I misspoke. That's not what I mean. I want to be president of 100% of the American people. We believe that our message offers hope to everybody, and it does. I mean, what we want is we want that 47% that aren't paying any income taxes. We want them to become self-sufficient. We want them to become self-reliant. We want them to generate enough of an income that they will be contributing members to the cost of government. Joe Biden's the one and Barack Obama out there saying, hey, everybody needs to pull their own weight. They got to pay their fair share. Well, we want them to be able to do that. Right now, they're not in a position to do it. But I'm willing to bet most of that 47%, if you gave them a better job, a higher income, and a higher standard of living, and what they had to trade for that was a modest income tax liability, they would snap that up in a heartbeat. That's why the conservative message is for everybody. Everybody wants a better standard of living. Everybody wants to be able to provide for their children, to provide for their family. Everybody wants to give their kids a better start and better head start in life than they got. Everybody wants to leave something behind for their kids. Everybody wants that. The 47% want that just like everybody else does, and the conservatives have a message for them. We are going to get government out of the way. As Governor Perry said, we want to take a wrecking ball to Washington, D.C. We're going to get rid of these burdensome regulations to free up your business and the business of those that hire people to flourish and to fly, to lift their wings and take off, because we want you to be able to make higher wages. We want your kids. We don't want your kids stuck at home looking at a poster of Obama on the ceiling of the bedroom. We want them out there pursuing a productive and prosperous career. That's what we want. So we're all about the 100%. That's a true conservative message. Now, of course, Governor Romney didn't say that, and he was right to distance himself from it. So Joe Biden brings it up last night, and Paul Ryan made a pretty good response. Here's what he had to say, clip 3.
I think the vice president very well knows that sometimes the words don't come out of your mouth the right way.
And that got a pretty good reaction. The whole crowd laughed on that one. Now, let's play one or two sound bites, and then we'll go to the phones. Let's play clip number 4, because this is a bad one for Joe Biden. This is a very, very bad one for Joe Biden. There were any number of just bald-faced lies that the vice president chose last night as he tried to prove to us that he's Conan the Destroyer instead of Mr. Potato Head. And here's one of the lies that he told. Now, remember, we had testimony the day before. That's what's bizarre about this. Yesterday, and we played you the sound bites, or on Wednesday, we had the security official in charge of Libyan security going before a House committee and saying, look, we requested more security forces, and instead of getting more, they were taking them away from us. They were reducing the security presence in Libya, and we at the same time were asking for more, and we kept getting turned down. We kept asking, and we kept getting turned down. This Eric Nordstrom guy at one point, he said, look, I kept asking. Finally, the Charlene Lamb, she was the totally inept person that testified. She couldn't even bring herself to say that Al-Qaeda was the group that's interested in the anniversary of 9/11, had to be goaded into it, had to backed into a corner before she would admit it. And this Eric Nordstrom went to her and said, look, we need more security. And she said, don't even bother to ask. You're not going to get any more. We want security there to be artificially low. That was her word, her expression. So don't even bother to ask. It's a waste of your time even to ask. And Eric Nordstrom told the committee, look, I knew we needed more security. I did not care if she said, don't bother to ask. You're not going to get what you need. I needed to ask because I was concerned about the people I was responsible to protect. So he went ahead and turned in a request for more security personnel, even after he had been told by Charlene Lamb, you're wasting your ink, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your breath. You're not going to get any more security personnel. So here is Joe Biden, clip number 4, telling a flat-out, total, bald-faced lie. And remember, our intelligence community told us within 24 hours, or they knew within 24 hours, and were communicating to the Obama administration that this was not in response to a video. It had nothing to do with some sort of a mob protest. There was no mob out there. This was a terrorist attack. It was a military-style attack. It came in 3 waves. It came suddenly out of the dark. They had machine guns. They had rocket-propelled grenades. They knew where the safe house was. This was not a mob protest. And the intelligence community had told that to the Obama administration within 24 hours, less than a day after. And still, you had administration personnel out there, Susan Rice on Sunday, 5 different shows, saying, no, this was all a mob protest. It was all about a movie. Here's what Biden said last night in the debate.
What were you first told about the attack? Why were people talking about protests? When people in the consulate first saw armed men attacking with guns, there were no protesters.
Because
why did that go on for
what
weeks?
We were told by the intelligence community. The intelligence community told us that. As they learned more facts about exactly what happened, they changed their assessment. That's why there's also an investigation headed by Tom Pickering, a leading diplomat from the Reagan years, who is doing an investigation as to whether or not there are any lapses, what the lapses were, so that they will never happen again.
And they wanted more security there.
Well, we weren't told they wanted more security again. We did not know they wanted more security again. And by the way, at the time, we were told exactly, we said exactly what the intelligence community told us that they knew. That was the assessment.
So a couple of lies. We didn't know they wanted more help. We never heard that. I'm clueless about that. I didn't know. I'm the Vice President of the United States, and I have no idea they wanted more help. That's a bald-faced lie. You know, we heard the guy on Capitol Hill yesterday. We repeatedly asked for more security. We were repeatedly turned down. And, hey, Biden says, hey, we were just telling everybody what the intelligence community told us. Burp. Intelligence community was telling them, look, it had nothing to do with the movie, and it had nothing to do with some kind of mob protest. They knew that within 24 hours, and still the Vice President of the United States went out there and lied to the 50 or so million people that watched that debate last night. Really unconscionable and inexcusable, and yet he was the one that was carrying the smirk on his face the whole night. So we'll come back with some more sound bites. We'll take more of your calls. 888-58, well, we'll start taking your calls. 888-589-8840. Only qualification you need to call in this hour is that you saw the debate last night and that you've got an opinion about it. Focal Point AFR Talk is the program. I'm Brian Fisher. Great to have you in the conversation. Great to have you in the debate, or in the conversation. And by the way, Joe Biden only mentioned Barack Obama one time last night, one single solitary time. Ryan mentioned Romney 22 times, Biden, his boss, only once.